Hey, welcome to Integrated Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. I've lost my microphone. We took a trip yesterday, and and it probably got lost in the mess because I made a couple of videos down there while I was doing it. So I'll find it one of these days, or I'll get a new one. Until then, I'll just try to talk louder. I want to talk today about the fact that we are probably closer to a world war than we've been since the last so-called World War. It is another major step, and it is something for you to be aware of, pay attention to, and get ready for. Uh, I want to share a couple of things with you before we get into that. I went up yesterday to pick up the mail, or was it the day before? I don't know, yesterday. I guess I was out of town early in the morning yesterday. So it was the day before. It doesn't matter to you, right? To pick up the new orders and things, and there was a couple of very cool things waiting for me in the mail that I want to show you. First, let me have a sip of my coffee for the one guy who hates that I drink coffee. Now that we've gotten rid of him. So there was a couple of things waiting in the mail for me, and I won't show the address on here or anything, but nor will I use names. Some of you know that in law enforcement it is a thing to share department patches, and some time ago somebody sent me a patch, and I thought, man, that's cool, and I shared it on one of the, and I thanked them, of course, it meant a lot to me. I shared it on a video, and pretty soon another patch showed up in the mail, and I said, wow, this would be pretty cool. For those of you not in law enforcement, if you go into pretty much any law enforcement agency somewhere, usually in, well, it'll be different places, there will be a large board with patches from agencies all over the country. It's just kind of a, a unity thing, a sharing of the patches, and it means a lot in the law enforcement field. So more and more people have sent me that, and I said, if I get enough, I'm going to put a board up. We're not inside now, but I'll put a board up behind my desk or someplace, and I'll put all these patches up there. And since that time, and by the way, this applies law enforcement, firefighting, corrections, EMS, military, all of you guys who are a part of the world that when things go sideways, we are the ones who show up. You're all included in that. Well, the first thing, I got a nice big envelope. I won't show you the front because it has personal information on it. A nice big envelope. I says, man, this is thick. And I had received a message over on Patreon from somebody saying, hey, have you got anything in the mail? And I said, no. And he said, well, keep your eyes open. And I'll read just this. Hey, Steve, I enclosed are some patches from my agency here in New Jersey. This is just a little thank you for all the knowledge and thoughtful insights that you provide to your subscribers on YouTube. Geographically, we are approximately 20 minutes outside of Lower Manhattan, New York City. Newark Liberty International Airport is the eastern portion of our jurisdiction, and we share a border with Newark. And then he goes on, he's a sergeant with the agency, 15 years on. Worked assignments in warrants, canine, and road supervisor, civil process, eviction, all that. I tell you, now we didn't have to deal with that on the department I was on. We didn't handle civil process because we were only criminal. But I tell you, civil process and eviction, that is some dangerous stuff. I mean, you get into, and it's sad too. The eviction stuff, it can be sad. I'm sure I've never been involved in it, but and then he goes on. He gives us some information here, a little intelligence. I can tell you that evictions are exploding. Tensions are really high, as I'm sure you can surmise based on all that's going on in the world. Well, we talked about that, didn't we? We talked about that for a while. as this economy gets worse, evictions are going to be exploding. That's going to make the world a more dangerous place for everybody, and for law enforcement who's out there trying to enforce these things. So he says, once again, thanks, Steve, for the great content. Keep up the good work. God bless you and your family, and stay safe. And then he signs his name, which I won't say, and his AK as on YouTube, which I almost also won't say because I don't know if he would want me to. First off, thank you, buddy. You can't. Let me show you guys what I got. Sheriff, Union County, New Jersey. Sheriff, Honor Guard, Union County, New Jersey. And then something that's near and dear to my heart was Sheriff, Union County, K9. I was never on a K9 unit, although I've had personal dogs that I took with me sometimes when I was undercover. I tell you, there is a K9, a breed apart. So excellent. You know, there's a lot of special units in law enforcement. I've been in a number of them. I have not been in K9, and I always kind of thought that I'd like to if I had stayed around, because I tell you, K9 units are something. And not only then in there also is, hold this up if you can, is a not a badge, but a pin. You see that? Let's see, where's the camera? Yeah, there we go. Union County. My friend, I have to tell you, I can't tell you how much this means to me. Thank you very much. These are going to be, when I get this board done, these are going to be such an important part of that board. And he even left his badge number or radio number for me, and that's kind of cool too. Thank you so much. And then I got another one. I know, for those of you who said, get to the point, I want to know about World War. Be quiet. Go to another channel. Okay? This is another one. Mr. Smith, I hope this short note finds you well. Here are the patches I said I would send you. Because he had asked, I remember, he had asked, do you consider corrections a part of the Brotherhood? And I said, you bet, man. I mean, you know, I send them to you, and you keep an eye on them and keep it under control until they get back out and I have to deal with them again. He said, hope to see them real soon on a pegboard display behind you on your videos. Have a great day. Love your channel. Keep up the good work. And then he said, no names, please. And so I won't. He wrote another line down here, and I'm not sure whether that means it'd be okay for me to say that, but just on the safe side, I won't. But I'll tell you, these are some beautiful patches. California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. We all know rehabilitation, right? Well, I don't know. Maybe the correction guys have a different idea about that than me. I never saw too many rehabilitators. I did see some, I won't say that. So we got a nice shoulder patch, and then another one. Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. I imagine this is something that goes on the shirt as part of a badge like that instead of the metal badge. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how their uniforms are configured, but I know this to be a shoulder patch. So however, those are just beautiful. And then he gave me a section of service stripes. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Those service stripes, I don't know. Different departments have them different times. Some departments, one for every 3 years, some one for every 5 years. But however they do it out here, are a bunch of years with dealing with some of the. I tell you, I wouldn't want to deal with it. I would not want to be locked up with a bunch of people who deserve to be locked up for this many years. And again, those are beautiful. Thank you, buddy. I can't thank you enough. All this means a lot to me. I left a long time ago, and I have to say that I left because I no longer believed in the system, but I believed in the good people out there, the good guys the good men and women who are doing the job right. And so many people out here in the world don't realize how many good ones there are, simply because the bad ones make the news. And nor do they realize how tough that job is. You know, you all know who have been in the people says, "I'll have your job," and our response was always, "You couldn't do my job." Well, for those of you guys who are doing the job, here's to you. Thank you so much. You'll see those on the board pretty soon. Excuse me, and yes, on the wrong pipe. Anybody who would like to send me patches from your departments, agencies, or just a second. Okay, had to get that coughing out. I didn't figure you all needed to hear that. Yeah, okay, buddy. My dog's here. Any of you guys would like to send me patches from your agencies, your departments, your units, whether it be civilian, military, the address I always put down here below where you can get to our Patreon page and order my books. Down there's an address you could send them, and thank you so much. Speak one more thing before we get to World War. I got a message from one of our Stonemont level patrons over on the Patreon side, and what the Stonemont level is the level at which they can directly get to me and ask questions. Amy asked a great question that I will be answering on Patreon, and she says she has so many ideas about how to make money, but she doesn't know how to do the business side of it, and asked me for it. I'm going to make a video on that here in a little bit after I make this one, because I think a lot of people have that same questions, and so I think Amy's question will help a lot of people. So Amy, I'll be making that when I get done, and your question will undoubtedly help a lot of people. And starting your own business or businesses, there's no reason to stop with one. We've got a bunch, and I always pump this. We're coming into some hard times, and war is one of them, and it brings opportunities, and it is important for you to be starting or building on your independent wealth production. Okay, I know I sound like one of those wealth production guys. Well, it is. Producing wealth, producing money is important. There is nothing that helps you other than the help of the Lord himself with preparing more than money and mindset. Okay, money and mindset. So that'll be putting up over there. Okay, all right, buddy, I know. We'll lay down. We are closer to war than we've been since the last World War. I just saw on the news today, it's been coming, right? But Putin formally annexed those 4 regions of Ukraine. If I wanted to sound real international, I would have tried to memorize how to say them in Russian or Ukrainian. I don't care enough to do that. I care how it affects us. Okay. This is going to be a lot different than the last World War for a very important reason that I'll get to in a minute. And for that reason, it's probably a lot more dangerous than the last one. So anyway, whatever 4 areas those are, I've heard people say the Donbass and all this. Well, now they have formally annexed those areas, which means that any attack on those areas is now considered an attack on Russia itself. Putin is a hard case. He means what he says. Take him at his word. Okay, and then we have Zelensky, the high-heeled dancing boy, signing an emergency request to join NATO. This is how it starts, folks. Well, this isn't how it starts. It started long ago. But this is one of the main steps before it all blows up. This is so close. You know the famous saying by George Santana about those who fail to remember history, or those who don't know their history. It's written down several different ways. Are doomed to repeat it. This is so close to what went on in Germany and Europe in the 1920s and 30s. It's like a parallel with a big difference and a great similarity that makes a difference. The big difference was that back in the World War II, in which my father fought in Europe, should have never had to been over there. We weren't fighting to save the world from democracy, as I'm sure that you've heard said. That the powers in this country wanted to unite Americans. They'd been through a long depression, nothing like a war to bring people together. Anybody remember September 12? Okay? Yeah. All of a sudden, after September 11, we were all united, right? All Americans, even the French themselves saying, we're all Americans now. No. Back then, they needed a war. And let me slip this right now. I'll wait for just a second. Yeah, I'll put it here. You probably don't know the truth about World War II. Now, that's a shocker, isn't it? You've studied it, you've heard about it all of your life. And probably what you know is a lie. How about that? I've told you about what you know about the Civil War is a lie, the so-called Civil War. I don't call it that. I just slip that in because that's the way most people know of it. That's a lie. What you have heard, what you've been taught, what you've been drilled into you about World War II, about the Third Reich, about Adolf Hitler, about all that stuff. Okay? Let me put it this way. Rather than say it's been a lie, let me ask you this. Why do you believe what you've been told? Okay? Let me put it that way. Why do you believe what you've been told? Because I've been told, right? Because you've read it in the books written by the winners, right? Because you've heard it this pumped at you all of your life, right? Okay. If you want to know the truth, go back before World War I and study it thoroughly. Study World War I. Study the Treaty of Versailles. Study Germany and the effect of the Treaty of Versailles on Europe through the rise of Adolf Hitler, and see, after thorough study, which will take you years, whether you still believe what you've been told. And I will tell you that you might be surprised. Okay? That's all I can say, because they won't let us talk about this stuff on here, right? Or else we'll get the big spank. Well, let's take this forward here. What do you know about the situation between Russia and Ukraine? You've been told all your life that Russia's bad. He's the bad guy. They're horrible. He's a KGB guy. He's this, he's that. They're terrible. They want, world domination. They're communists. Compare Putin to Biden. Who's the bigger communist? The difference between that last World War and this World War, whereas the heads of our country, our leadership, our so-called leadership, wanted that war to unite the American people, this administration, our leadership now, wants to divide the American people. And now they want a war to cover up a lot of what's going on, a lot of their actions that have brought this country down, a collapsing economy, I won't even say a broken border, a non-existent border that is filling our country with crime and drugs and human trafficking, and it has ruined what this country once was, to the point where I'm not sure that it can be reclaimed. Okay? So our leaders want this war, and they're going to have it. And they want it because they're globalists. And they are buddy-buddy to all the Europeans more than they are with us, their own people. They don't represent us. You know that. You know that. They don't represent us at all. They're a part of the big global club. And they want this war, and they're going to have it. Well, this is what's going to bring it. and Putin has set it down. We know who took out the Nord Stream pipeline, don't we? We know. It wasn't Putin. Come on. So Putin says we annex these sections. Look up the Sudetenland. Look up Austria. You'll be surprised what you find if you have the guts to look into history. I'll tell you a short thing here. I was telling a friend of mine who was in Vietnam. I was lucky. I missed that little thing because my lottery number was high, and I never regretted not being there. I was explaining to a friend of mine once who was there why we were there. When my eyes finally opened and I explained to him, he was over there for money. Not his money, the corporation's money. And I told him the lie of the Gulf of Tonkin. I said, you ever heard of the Gulf of Tonkin? Nope. Never heard of it. I explained it to him. I said, look into it. I asked him the next day, and he just kind of sit there quietly looking at me like, what the heck? I said, look into it. I asked him the next day. I said, you look into it? And he said, no, I didn't. If I found out, this is what he said. He said if he found out that all the things that he did over there and all the things that happened to him over there and his buddies were because of a lie, he didn't think he'd be able to take it. Friends, everything that's happened pretty much since the revolution, every war out there has been about money. It's not about what you've been told it's about. I'm going to talk a lot more about that in upcoming videos. I'm going to be talking about the military. I'm going to be talking about why you shouldn't join the military. I'm going to be talking about all the lies that have driven this stuff. But this is dangerous times. Nothing tells me more than this annexation of those areas by Russia, and then the response on the part of Zelensky to request emergency admittance into NATO. And I'm sure they're gonna play around with it a little bit. They're gonna see, this is gonna be a big push-shove game. But Putin ain't playing, and we've got a bunch of people running our side that we can't trust. We can trust them to do what's right for them, which usually is bad for us. So I'm gonna say this right now. I think I've never been more sure. I've wondered whether a world war was coming. Now I'm pretty sure it is. There are things that we need to get done to prepare for it. I'll do that. I've already run this a little long because I wanted to thank the guys for the patches and say a couple of other things. I'll be talking more about how we get ready for survive a world war. And for those of you who think this is going to go nuke, it could be a couple of tactical nukes over there, but that is not going to start off necessarily. It will not necessarily start off a worldwide nuclear confrontation or conflagration. Okay, it will not necessarily destroy the world, but the effect of it will be very, very interesting. We have to be ready. I'll talk more about how to get ready in another one. But that's my piece on this. We're a step closer to a world war, and I don't think we have many more steps to go. So you all buckle down. I'll talk more about what to do in a further one. Remember that this, like everything, is brought to you by the Stonemont series. This is the complete guide to preparing for surviving and rebuilding after a total collapse. If you want to know how to do it, whether it's as big as I talk about in here, or whether you're just somewhere on that path, on that spectrum, this tells you exactly what you need to be doing, not just for a world war, but for anything else that comes your way. If you were prepared in a Stonemont way, you are prepared, and your chances of not just surviving, but doing all right, are pretty good. Because you see, this is how people have survived for thousands of years. This idea that preparedness has been big for 20 years amongst the masses. There's a lot of us been in it all of our lives, but people have been preparing ever since the first man said, I think I'll take extra berries home tonight. Okay, so if you haven't read them, I think first off, you'd get a lot out of them. I think you'd like them. Most people send me a lot of letters and things saying how much they learned from them, how much they love them. How to get them is down here. in the comment section, in a pinned comment, or in the information section. You can get them from Amazon, either in paperback or in Kindle, or you can get them directly from me with autographed. There's another way to do that. And for the idiots that say, you just want to sell your books, that's right, I do. I wrote them to sell. See, I'm a writer. I'm not a YouTube guy. I don't make my living off of YouTube. I'm a writer. I write books. I sell them. People buy them. They learn from them. They enjoy them. Capitalism, it all works out. For all you stone miners out there, you know what I'm talking about. For everybody who's not, we'd love you to be, because you're going to be a part of the Better Prepared Club. So do that. Join us on Patreon. You get a lot more over there than you do here. Especially, I'm going to be answering Amy's question here next about how to build those extra businesses to make that extra money to prepare better. All right? You all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Remember that we prepare well today. I'm over here petting my dog. That's why I keep looking. We prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. So get out there and start preparing well. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.